Good afternoon, everyone. This is Ralph from Herald the Soon Coming King, broadcasting to you on February the 20th from the foothills of the Appalachians. What I want to share with you today we'll either do in two pieces. I might do it all at once so that the flow and the understandings might fit better together. It's one of the hardest ones that I've had to do in a while, as I'm trying to make even in my own heart sense of all the things the Lord has told me about this particular topic and subject. And the topic and the subject is about the presidency of the United States. And it picks up with, and before I say that, I'm going to kind of do it in the order in which the Lord gave me either words or dreams. They're going to finish with the latest dream that I had, and there seems to be some almost conflicting understandings. I've got more of the sense that they are not necessarily, although they were given to me in a certain order, they were not necessarily going to unfold in the order in which I'm giving them to you, and that there's layers and understanding the truths that lie behind what I'm about ready to give you. That said, I want to be very careful about not inputting my thoughts or my suppositions as to what the Lord has given, because I have found over the last 7 years that the Lord gives me often bits and pieces, and the things that have already come to pass in those dreams and or words, even if they're bits and pieces, it's only obviously afterwards that I can understand the totality of what he was telling me. So there's times I feel very much like those who have written things down and say, I don't really understand what it is the Lord has given me. So bear with me as we go through this because I think it's such a serious word. But they really begin for me in 2020 in April. This obviously is before the election that occurs in the fall. And the first one was a word the Lord said to me that the presidency is wobbling, that it is unstable. Of course, this is the time that Trump is in the presidency. And so the next day, on that the Lord gave me this word, he said the government is hollowed out. It's hollowed out by decay, and it's filled with something else. And that Trump and Pence and Pompeo were trying to hold on. Now, obviously, we have context of history, so as I'm making this recording, so we know where this is going to go. But when I got the word in April 15th of 2020, I didn't understand what he meant, what the Lord meant, but they were trying to hold on. A few days later, on the 21st of April, the Lord said something evil is moving in and amongst the government, and what he said was that evil was Leviathan. It's only later that I understand, what or who is Leviathan. But that was the word the Lord gave me, was Leviathan. Then a few days later, near the end of April, the Lord said, the president, who is Trump, and of course all the conversations going on, just of course what was going on at that time, he said that Trump would be washed away, pushed out. Very clearly, very specifically, that the president would be washed away and pushed out. And we know what's happened, of course, once the election took place in November of that year. And indeed, he was washed away out of the presidency. Then it picks up again in October, mid-October of that year, obviously prior to the election. And God told me that Trump had been used by God to divide the people and to divide the land. That he was a threat and would be washed away. And the Lord said, I'm done with him. Will be washed away when I'm done with him. That was one word, sorry. That when he was done with him, he would be washed away. Now this next piece of the word has some kind of future element to it, but I'm not sure exactly how it fits into where we are in the current context of 2024. but the rest of the word was there would be no further president. And I think, as I'm looking at it, I have my own understanding what that may mean, but that's what he said. And I, again, want to be careful that I'm not interjecting my thoughts, just what he told me. He said, Trump is like the king in chess. He's actually quite a weak figure, only as strong as those protecting him, but ultimately the king is sacrificed. He's going to be sacrificed, and we know that indeed he was. And I want to be clear here that I'm not saying that God isn't using Trump and wouldn't use him yet into the future. This is just what he told me at this point. And again, that sacrificial, ultimately sacrifice, may mean end of a second term for Trump, for all I know. But that was the word in mid-October of 2020. And then this is pretty key. A few days later, about a week later, the Lord told me this. He said that Obama would become advisor to the president. That Kamala Harris, not Biden, that's who the president would be. Kamala Harris, not Biden. That Biden would die. I don't know if that was in the presidency at that point, but obviously it seems that's the indication that that's how Harris becomes president, that Biden would die. And Obama would be the power behind the throne. And it was actually in this word that the Lord told me that Obama is Leviathan. The word that was given to me back in April is he was now clarifying who that Leviathan was, who was the evil that was lurking, moving amongst the government. That he is a snake, not the snake, and I think that reference is the devil, the Antichrist. And then the word was, yes, there has been a coup, and I have allowed it. He, and I believe he was referencing Trump, he took the glory and did not give it to me. And I will not share my glory with any man. He, meaning Trump, was a reprieve, a delay, in response to the cries of my people. Now the clock moves on. So I was getting words in April and October, prior to the election, that Trump would be washed away out of the presidency. Now, there's some other pieces in that I don't want to share, that I think were even stronger, but I thought that was strong enough to share that indeed we know what happened. The election occurred, and on a couple of days after the election, November 6th specifically, of 2020, the Lord told me this. He said, Trump, I am bringing Joe Biden as judgment, and then I will judge him. Woe to America for selecting a corrupt king. Their hearts have been exposed. Destruction is coming. Evil is coming. Joe Biden will be a pathway for this to come. Harris is not the one. Someone else comes with her. And I believe he was referencing Obama, but he didn't give me that name specifically. He just said, someone else comes with her. And that was after the election, 3 days after the election. A few days later, the same thing. Destruction is coming. A snake, not Biden, not Harris, Obama. The Lord was clear that it was Obama. Another week later, this is now near the middle end of November 2020. It is not Kamala Harris to be concerned with when Joe Biden steps down. Then in December 17th, the Lord gave me a dream. And this is one of 3 or 4 dreams that we're going to have to reconcile exactly how they fit together and what they may mean, whether they're allegorical or specific. I'm not going to try to speak to that. I can only tell you the dream that the Lord gave me. And that is on the 17th of December, 2020. Obviously, Trump is still the president, but not been reelected, and Biden has yet, of course, to take the presidency in the new year. This is the dream. The president is evil. People are coming after him to unseat him. The people are senators and representatives. Let me just look at my notes here again to be clear here. Are people and representatives. As they enter where he is, he, referencing the president, shoots and kills them. They're surprised. It moves to a second scene. The president's in a grand hall. They are still after him. He keeps killing them. He puts up a thick glass, but just in a matter of time, when they're trying to get him, the president feels that he is justified in killing the senators and the representatives. He escapes. Many are dead around the president. 2 remain. One looks like Hillary Clinton. She tries to call in what's happening, like she was going to make a phone call. Another well-known man chokes her to death before she can say anything, or say very much. Not say anything, but to say very much. That was the dream. I will leave it up to you to interpret exactly what that means, and you're going to need to hear a future dream to maybe give you some additional insight into that dream of December of 2020. Picking up in 2021, and this is before the election, or excuse me, the handing over, but it is on the day of the riot at the Capitals, on the 6th of January, I get this word from the Lord. Biden dies. He dies from a brain hemorrhage. Harris appoints Obama, and I kind of got the sense in the dream that it was as vice president, but may not have been. He could have been that advisor to the president that I'd shared with you earlier, but she appoints him. Someone by the name of Blake, B-L-A-K-E, his name. He is central to this plot and plan. I don't know who that individual is, but that was the name the Lord gave me. A little bit later in the month, I get the word that Obama is a presidential advisor of some kind. So again, I'm getting another word that he is some kind of presidential advisor. 3 days later, Leviathan is on the move. And again, remember, Leviathan is Obama. He is busy preparing. They are trying to bury the truth, but it will be exposed. Now, we know a lot of things that have come out in the last couple of years, in the last year specifically, around Biden's son, those allegations, and a host of things. I don't know which one that applies to, but the Lord told me in end of January 2021 that they are trying to bury the truth, but it would be exposed. Earlier the next month, February 2021, destruction, Biden, war, announcement. Then he said albatross, like an albatross around your neck. Something large entangles Biden, and he cannot rid himself of it. He will be unable to shake off this thing. And evil he perpetuated comes to light. Now this is February 2nd of 2021. And in light of what we know as the current dialogue around him, that could be the evil that the Lord was telling me about. I don't know. All I know is that that's what the Lord told me. Then in a little bit later in the month, I get a dream. The president is being pursued by a mob of government officials. And again, remember the earlier dream of senators and representatives. He ultimately escapes. All are killed but one. The earlier dream, there was 2 left. All I know is all are killed but one. The Lord directed me to Jeremiah 6, where Jerusalem is under attack. You'll need to read that. It's obviously a long chapter, and I'm not going to read it here, but I would suggest that you read that. And it sounded so similar to me as I read it with Jerusalem under attack that I asked myself the question, was it similar to Washington, D.C.? and perhaps it was. Then we skip all the way over to 2023, July. And this is the one that's a little different than the other dreams and words that the Lord has given me, especially the last one, which this is the second to the last one. But here it is. Again, the Lord gave it to me, and we'll see how it fits in the future. The dream was that Russia assassinates the president. The president is hosting the Russian president. They break for dinner. The Russian president goes to his hotel. There is confusion amongst the staff where the dinner is being held because it's being held off-site. I don't know if that's off-site from the hotel or off-site from where they were meeting. It was unclear, just that it was off-site, and that created confusion. So some of the U.S. detail, the team, goes ahead to the dinner site. The president goes to pick up the Russian president. Now, I don't know if he was by himself or with others. Obviously, in the natural, you would think there'd be others with him, but that's what it was in the dream. The president goes to pick up the Russian president. He pulls up to the hotel, and they choose a hotel because of weather. There's winter and snow. Everything's hard to move around, to be on the streets. And so they at the hotel, there's all this chaos going on because of the weather. And so they're at the hotel that they've picked. There's chaos going on. The president picks up the Russian president in a car that is not normally used. So I didn't get the sense like the motorcade or the presidential vehicle, a limousine, had been used. It was something else. That's what I got the sense of, although all I know is that the vehicle that is normally used is not used. They leave the hotel. In the next scene, both presidents are standing outside, and I still see the snow, and it's snowing. The Russian president shoots the American president, and his body is completely consumed. Now, to me, that part about his body being completely consumed, brings up a question in my mind: is it really a shooting, or is it some kind of other destruction? Again, I'm trying not to interject too much. I just wanted to tell you that's what I saw in the dream. And then the last one, so obviously I'm going to do this all in one piece, because although we're running a little longer than I like to, I think we can get it in, and then we can wrap up with a summary. Is this the last dream occurred on September 28th of 2023, so just last year. And here's the dream. Biden and Hillary Clinton is regarding them. I was on what appeared to be on a train, and I was there with my wife, and we were sitting in our seats, and we were kind of in those seats where they face each other, on a train, and two other women were with us. It seems like I knew these women. I didn't know them like good friends or anything, but it just seems like I knew them, and so I don't know what that means, but I sense that. Then a woman like a nanny comes to the seats right next to us. And she had what appeared to be something like an adult-sized baby carriage. It was of sorts, anyway. But it was more like a sled, in appearance. Maybe toboggan, sled type appearance. And lying in the carriage was both Biden and Hillary Clinton. The two women looked at me as if to say, "See, didn't I tell you they would be here and look like this?" Biden was very still. He was staring straight ahead. He didn't look like he was mentally aware of anything. He was alive, but he gave the appearance that he wasn't there. He just stared ahead with a blank look. In the dream, I thought to myself, if he is like this, who is running the country? I thought, it can't be Vice President Harris. Was it his wife or others? His political handlers, as it were. Hillary was more animated, but it was clear that she had lost her mind, like from dementia or Alzheimer's. She began speaking, but in a very animated way, threatening to do something and threatening people. She talked wildly and without really making any sense. She was mad. She wanted to do something, but it was clear she was mad and out of her mind, even though she wanted to do something. I had my phone, and I discreetly took a picture for proof that they were there in manner in which they were. And then I texted this to my daughter, and I was telling her what we were seeing. Now, I texted 3 times or 3 pictures. I'm not sure which it was. And someone asked one, it might have been my wife, if I had taken a picture and sent it out. And I said, no, only that I had sent the text. One of the 2 women took the phone to check, and only one of the texts had been sent. The other 2 were pending, so it must have been 3. I'm just reading in my notes here. Must have been 3 texts, and only 1 got through and 2 were pending. I felt a sigh of relief that she only saw the 1 text, but didn't know why, but it had something to do with the picture that I was trying to send. So I woke up at that point. So as I've been hesitant to post this, I've been hesitant to post because I'm trying to reconcile all what I saw in these dreams, the words the Lord has given me. Some is very clearly to me how they jive together. Others almost appear a little bit to be at odds with each other. But I have long since stopped trying to figure out, all that these things mean until they happen, because it's only then that the Lord gives me clarity as to what I'm really looking at. But to me, there are some clear summaries that can be taken from both the dreams and the words that the Lord has given me over the last 3 or 4 years concerning the presidency. One is that Trump would be removed by God. He used him to divide the nation. I believe it was a reprieve, as the Lord said, like maybe the Maccabees were for Israel, where there was a short period of time they had relief. And again, I'm not saying that Trump isn't even God's man to be used of God, I should say, by God in a second part of the presidency. Perhaps those things are being washed out, moved, taken out, actually apply a second time. I just don't know, and I'm not trying to jump ahead to see what God's going to do, other than, he was removed. That Biden would die or be ineffective in a physical capacity way while in office. I felt brain hemorrhaging, whether it was caused by outsiders like maybe the Russians, or just his physical deterioration. It's obviously clear to many of us that he's deteriorating as we see, and it's mental capacity issues. And that 3, that Harris does ascend to the presidency, and Obama is either elevated into a vice president role or some kind of special advisor to the president, and some other vice president is chosen. But he's key to the kind of shadow government running behind the scenes, and that he is Leviathan, that he is the evil lurking in the government and behind the scenes. Again, I get no sense that he is the Antichrist or anything like that. He's a type of Antichrist, as any Antichrist spirit would be, but that he is definitively the snake in the government, and that they were trying to bury the truth, but it would be exposed, and that there was an albatross, and maybe this truth that was trying to be buried, that was hanging around Biden's neck. Those to me are some of the summaries that I took out from those dreams. So I wanted to get that out. It's a very political, obviously, words and dreams. I will leave it to those who hear this blog to make of it what you will. I have committed myself to share the dreams and words the Lord has given me over the last 7 years on a variety of topics. The ones I've been posting. This one is a very political one. So I don't know what the events will, how they'll unfold, but I know that the Lord's words and dreams have been true thus far and will continue to be true. And we'll have better sense of it as they happen. So I would say be prayerful. So whatever the Lord shares with you or tells you how to pray for these circumstances. We'll see where things go. It's obviously very turbulent times in our political scene. And this much I know. No matter who God uses, no matter who he puts in those places, he's going to use them. Remember, he put Pharaoh in his place to be used and not in obviously a positive way. And of course, he put Moses in his place to be used. So God can use anybody, whether it's a Nebuchadnezzar, whether it's a Pharaoh, whether it's a Moses, or anyone else for his purposes. And he'll do the same here in the United States, so that that which he has coming in terms of judgment to the United States will be fulfilled. As for me, and I hope for you, look up, because your redemption draws near.